Hello, streaming to you live. I'm Gordon with Unlock Your Bioenergy. Today is Wednesday, February 18th, 2026, and I want to talk about the health benefits of deuterium depleted water. And then later on in this episode, going to do a 9-minute warm-up and it's leg day with the vibration plate, and I've got some different things planned for you today. If you are following, it's going to be good. So first and foremost, let's start with the presentation.
John Ellis Ministries, in association with the Living Water Environmental Foundation, presents The Making of Deuterium Depleted Water, the purest water on Earth. After graduating from the Choate School and Lafayette College with a degree in engineering with an emphasis on steam plant design, John Ellis had the best discus throw in the world in 1957. John Ellis was an engineer in Honeywell and Douglas Aerospace with top secret clearance, inventing switches that keep our planes safe even today. John Ellis perfected the distillation and purification of water with the creation of the Electron 4 and Electron 5 water machines, the world's first and only repurifying redistillers. These machines will change the properties of your tap or well water, producing thousands of life-saving results. Today, you have the opportunity to try the most patented distiller in America, a distiller that allows plenty of destruction time to kill all the viruses and pathogens, creating the best water money can buy. There are more impurities in your water than you think.
Well, when you flush the toilet, you're flushing everything down that toilet, all the drugs you're taking, all the diseases you have, all the disease markers go down into the groundwater. Now, they don't just disappear. Eventually, that ends up into the municipal water system. And that's why the Associated Press called me a few years ago about that. And they did their own tests. And they picked a city supposed to have great drinking water. It was in USA Today, in fact. 56 drugs in the drinking water. 41 million people didn't even know it. And then every city they tested was loaded with these drugs. Every glass of water that you drink and every bottle of water has deuterium in it. It's a major cause of aging and cancer. This machine here makes deuterium depleted water. It does that by heating and cooling. Water goes from the boiler to the tank, back and forth, over and over and over again, hundreds of times per gallon. Regular products don't do that. Years ago, I was reading a book about the alchemists. They're the fathers of modern chemistry. And that book said that heating and cooling water produces mystical qualities. And with my engineering background, I was able to create this machine. There are thousands of benefits to the distilled water from this machine. Because ordinary distilled water, the water goes to the machine once. Here it's going through hundreds of times. And that's how you make deuterium depleted water. Now, the way the machine works, this boiler here is connected to that tank where there's a condensing coil with a little boiler feeder tube, so the water is free to go back and forth. So when you fill it with water, it allows only about 1.5 cups of water in the boiler at a time. There's a reason for that. 1.5 cups of water isn't much water. Put 1.5 cups of water in a saucepan. Turn it on the stove. Because it's not much water, it's going to boil over, it's going to froth. So in the boiler, this is important, you're frothing to the surface. Your viruses, your bacteria, your drugs, the markers, whatever diseases they're looking for in a blood test, to the surface. Then you hit it with high intensity UV and heat. But you're not doing it once, 3 times a minute, hundreds of times for every gallon you're making. And when you first fill it with cold water especially, if you look down, you can see the water, the boiling water come out of the boiler, through the boiler feeder tube, into the tank, because it leaves a trace. Then the pressure drops to 0, then it refills again. Process repeats. Now as the steam rises, it's heavier, it's denser. That goes to the bottom of the tank. That goes back and forth through the boiler. Then when it gets hot enough, rises to the top and goes through the overflow. Now normally when you're running the machine, when it's full of water, you have this valve over here on the slowest steady run you can make. A little more than a drip, but the slowest steady run you can make. Then if you want to, it's up to you. Turn up the flow, 10 gallons an hour, 240 gallons a day. And that's the water you can read about because you can make it so much faster. That's the water they use on wells. We have 3 letters from LaSalle, Colorado, where they had a 5-acre waste lagoon, 10.5 million gallons of E. coli that smelled for miles. They're paying $10,000 a day in fines to the state because of it. None of the treatment companies could fix it. In fact, they said it was untreatable. And I'm sure they didn't think this would work, but what they finally did, they took the cooling water and they sprayed 1,000 gallons on the surface of the 5 acres. Then they waited 24 hours because of the cascading effect. Smell gone, saved them millions. Didn't have to build a waste treatment plant. Now here's why. Fulvic acid, it's a human nutrient. But farmers would call us and say, you know, if we use your water, we can spray fulvic acid on the crops. And the fulvic acid would stay in suspension. That's why LaSalle, Colorado saved $150,000 in dredging costs, because it kept the solids in suspension so they could just flush it right out of the lagoon. A young girl in Ohio with her father making the water did over 200 wells using only 10 gallons of the cooling water in each well. It changes the properties of the water that's in the aquifer. And every municipality should be using this so that people can drink healthy water right out of the tap. Even Dole Foods use my technology because of mold spores destroying the banana plantations. First they used the chemical, injured thousands of workers, men's sterile, millions in lawsuits. So they tested my water. We kept sending them water over a 9-month period. And every time it came back with positive results, finally they called us and wanted to know what was in the water. We told them it's just water. They couldn't believe it was just water. And then they finally sent me a 7-page contract, but I never signed it because they wanted full rights to it. And I wouldn't be able to help all my other customers. But it shows the power. The machine's small, but look at the power of what it'll do.
What would happen if we stopped vaccinations? According to cdc.gov/vaccines, the results would be catastrophic. However, the head of a world-renowned U.S. clinic in Ohio said he supports vaccinations, but suggests there has to be a better way to defeat disease. John Ellis says since blood is 94% water, use the John Ellis water machine to change the properties of water and flush disease markers and toxic elements out of the bloodstream. The John Ellis water machine, the world's first and only repurifying redistiller, increases the hydrogen bond angle of water, holding viruses and contaminants in suspension so they can be eliminated from the bloodstream with almost immediate results. In 1957, John Ellis had the best discus throw in the world, but gave up the sport because the FDA approved anabolic steroids, and John Ellis knew this would create heart problems. He was right about steroids then, and he's right now. As viruses mutate, vaccines have to become stronger. Today, we are injected with foreign disease substances that we normally would want to avoid to elicit an immune response. When do we reach that toxic overload tipping point? The John Ellis water machine produces deuterium depleted water with an increased hydrogen bond angle between atoms. It's been said this water can cure cancer, AIDS, diabetes, and a host of other problems. If you would like to order a machine, call.
Okay, when I first designed this machine with the heating and cooling, the reason I was doing that was to make pure water. So I sent 5 machines to York Labs in Connecticut for testing, and every single one of them made pure water in the standard for pure water. The standard for pure water is 0.1 parts per million total solid. And the results came down as low as they could read. 57.91 down to less than 0.07 parts per million. That's better than the standard for pure water. And when that happened, the scientists that work at Corning called me about it. They said, you know, your water tests are better than ours. How did you do that? And I told them by starting and stopping the boiling to stop the pollutant carryover. And they said, oh, and that's a great way to get rid of the organics. It was the heating and the cooling producing DDW, deuterium depleted water. That's what that machine does, and that's why the results are the way they are. In 1/27/92, there was an article that appeared in the Washington Post. 10,000 people a day were going to Lakota, Mexico. The man had bought 4 of our machines. He's running all the cooling water into his well. So he started giving the water away for free, curing cancer, diabetes. It's all in that article. So in the article, they mention about quote-unquote light water. That's deuterium depleted water. That's what our machines make. We're the only ones in the world that do that. After the Washington Post article came out, a man that taught at the UCLA Medical School was doing independent blood flow research. His name was Dr. Guy Abraham, MD. So he bought an E5 machine, and he called me up, and he said, you can't argue with something you can measure. We can measure the ability of blood, 94% water, to go through a membrane into the cells to the extremities. Nothing's even close to your water, and I told him we knew it already. Diabetics saving their feet from amputation, MS, cancer. And then he called back, your hydrogen bond angle, you changed the properties of water. It's 10 degrees greater than ordinary water. No wonder we're getting all these results. By changing the hydrogen bond angle in water now, we're getting better blood flow to the extremities. Now, right after Dr. Abraham did these tests, because he's so well known, he bought 5 more machines. And then we put it in ads in the Washington Times newspaper. So a man from Los Alamos Nuclear Lab, their top scientist, he got 5 PhDs after his name. He called John Spokes, who's the ad manager of the Washington Times, and said, you've got somebody advertising in your publication that's impossible. He said, well, you call John. If you decide what he's doing is impossible, he won't advertise here anymore. So he called me up, ordered an E5 machine. Then he called John Spokes back and said he did change the hydrogen bond angle in water, and I'm even embarrassed to tell you that.
I can't help you right now.
And we wish we owned his patent. It's all about blood flow, and you can measure it, and nobody can argue with it. We receive a lot of calls about diabetes. It's an epidemic. Everybody seems to be getting it. A man called me years ago, diabetic, and he said he woke up one morning, and overnight, his foot turned black. By the time he got the machine, he was scheduled for surgery 1 week later. He was so nervous, he said, I drank your water like crazy, and I soaked my foot in your water while I watched television. Because by changing the properties of water, the water will go right through the skin. Ordinary water won't do that. Finally, when his foot turned rosy pink, he called me up crying on the phone. You saved my foot. You saved my foot. Why did they all lie to me? I would have lost my foot. How about Alzheimer's? It gets blood flow to the brain. How about prostate cancer? Men can't urinate ordinary water. The germs collect in the prostate. They end up with prostate cancer. This water goes right through. You change the properties of water. A little over a year ago, a man called me up and he said, you know, your machines cure cancer. So I said, well, how do you know that? He said, because I was an oncologist for 30 years and I retired from Sloan Kettering. They're probably the biggest in the world in cancer. And his name was Dalton Casella, MD, and his whole family are all oncologists. We received a letter recently from a man, 80 years old, heavy smoker for years, and they were going to remove one lobe from his lung. So then they checked the other lobe, it had cancer also. So they couldn't remove both of them, they killed the poor guy. Now that's another case. They had no other choice. All he could do was drink the water. So he drank the water, in 2.5 months, the oncologist told him, no more cancer. And he thanked me for that. A few years ago, a doctor at a hospital in Africa ordered an E5 machine from us. And then he called to say it's working on Ebola, both in and out of the hospital. A foundation down in Maryland sent a check for $20,000, sent more machines. And we sent it over there, and it worked. Maybe that's why you don't hear about Ebola anymore. It's because it's working. If you want to learn more about the benefits of drinking deuterium-depleted water, all you have to do is go to the government website. And to do that, go to johnellis.com/NIH. Click on the green. It'll go right to hundreds of studies of what this water will do, but also what I've done, I've changed the properties of water, which they haven't done. And you're going to get phenomenal results out of it. Everything great comes from God. Otherwise, how can you explain what I've created? It's not in the textbook. I'm thinking outside the box. That's exactly what I'm doing. Now, in the Bible, before the flood, look how long they lived. After the flood, they didn't live as long. So it probably was because the amount of deuterium that's in the water, because we know today it causes aging and cancer. And my 87th year, and I feel great. I lift weights, I run, I do whatever I want to do. And everybody can do that. And I invented this machine for my own use. But then everybody wanted one. And now we sell them all over the world. We can help people in third world countries who desperately need these machines. And the Ebola situation is just one of them. Now this machine recycles over and over and over again to allow plenty of destruction time. No other product in the market does that. There's 13 international patents on this, 332 FDA tests. Everybody needs one of these machines. John Ellis Ministries needs your help. So we can send these machines all over the world. I'm an engineer. I'm not a doctor, but I have common sense. Everybody needs one of these machines, and so do you.
If you would like to order the Electron 4 or the Electron 5 water machine, please call 845.
So, telling you about this machine, I don't make a single penny about it. Not one. And it doesn't bother me sharing the information because the importance behind water is, in my opinion, number one. And one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about it and why I am sharing the information with you. Now, you can buy the machine yourself and you can make the water. Or you can ask somebody to do it and you pay them to make it for you. If you want cheap, then you have to buy the machine and do it yourself. There's no other way around it. And I think it's one of the reasons why I experience what I'm experiencing. And when I say that, I'm speaking specifically to the X39. Because as John described, the blood is 94% water, and when you are powering the water with the fuel that it needs, you are going to reap some benefits. Now, I'm reaping the benefits from utilizing this, which I put right here, and what it's doing is activating the process of photobiomodulation inside the body. Now, on Monday, I took and tried for the very first time the X49, right? That's this patch. And put it right here. I'm going to do it again today. Oh, my goodness, I dropped it again. So here we are. There's the X49 again, as you see. And I'm going to put it right here. And on Monday, I could sense the change, the biochemical change inside my body. And for me, it comes by way of smell. And yesterday, I talked about how I'm going to explain this, because the process of photobiomodulation is, for me, it's distinct. It's very distinct, and I can smell it in the change. And it's no different than hearing the story of somebody who, if they ask you if you smell burnt toast, and they say that it's a sign of a condition or a symptom that could be deadly for those people who smell that. Now, when I put on the X49, I can sense that smell. And for me, it's very similar to cinnamon. And when I put the X39 on, there is also a smell. But I don't know how to. I didn't know how to describe it as far as what it smells like, because it's specific to me. But I know it's happening because I can smell it. Just like when I put the X49, I can smell it. And it's going to take a few minutes for it to kick in, because now I've worn this for 2 days, right? So this is day number 3. So I'm curious to see how long it actually lasts. But with that, can you reap the benefits? Still without, if you don't drink the water, meaning deuterium free. Yes, you can. You may not experience the same benefits or the same symptoms that I am experiencing, such as that smell. But there's no denying that there's going to be something happen. Now, if you add deuterium depleted water to your regimen of choices, will you increase the effectiveness of the X39, the X49, the YH Renew as well? This is the glutathione. Would you increase? Would you reap those benefits? I would lean towards the answer yes. And you don't know until you try. It's as simple as that. Much like many people around the world that are trying X39 for the first time. And you can find it right there. That QR code. And you can reap the benefits as you see on the screen here. You click that's where you'll find it if you need a bigger QR code. Start today and experience the power of the X39 and also the X49, which you can see right here. You can get a bundled price. Click on the link that you see in the description below and begin your journey today, or scan the QR code right as you see right there. So that's my spiel for today. So today's workout, going to do the 9-minute warm-up as I normally have done, and we're going to see where my heart rate goes today. Yesterday, where was it? Okay, I hit 156 yesterday. Day before was 210. I don't know what's going to happen today. I don't know if you could see the heart rate monitor. Come on. There we go. So, I'll start recording. So you see what my heart rate is there. I'm going to change the metronome tempo to, I'm going to go 140 today. Slightly slower. And the 9-minute warm-up will, so 6.5 minutes and then 2.5 minutes of intensity, and then it's leg day. So today's exercises are going to be slightly different. Oh, and I just realized I messed that up. I didn't update the instructions, so I'm going to do that here. So I'm going to do this so you can see 9-minute warm-up leg day. First one I'm going to do is hanging, so that way I can continue doing the okay. So I'm going to do quad extensions, full range of motion. The second exercise is going to be okay, I've got TKE squats, or I've got TKE squats or hip thrusters. It's going to depend on how the first exercise goes, because I'm trying it for the first time. So TKE or hip thrusters, hamstring curls. And then next one is going to be ball bridges. Followed by tibia. And then it's going to be 7. There's going to be 7 today. I wonder if it's going to show. Oh yeah, okay, it's going to be okay. And then calves. So I like to make sure I work all those muscles, all the leg muscles, and strengthen them. So one thing too as well is that with the vibration plate, I really like how it activates the muscle at all throughout the full range of motion. So the quad extensions today are going to be like this, basically. So I'm going to be lying on the ground today, and I'm going to use the bands, anchor them to the wall, and basically, so by taking like this, so you can see, I'm going to attach the bands to the top of my heel and then pull away from the wall. So the wall is going to be behind me, and that's kind of the motion I'm going to be using. So kind of to give you an idea. And I'm going to combine it with the ceiling. You can see the up here on the ceiling, one there, and there's one here, where that's going to complete the full range of motion. So it's going to be an interesting exercise, performing that for the first time today. All right, so without further ado, let's begin. Yep, shorts are tight. a minute left. Really? Ah, yay. All right. So, 10 seconds of getting double unders with regular 8 and 8. Now let's go. There we go. So the first exercise is going to be quad extensions. And basically, after I do the hanging. So let's fix that here. I've got the bar here. I can start to smell the, what would you call the smell from the X49. I can smell it now. It's not as strong as it was on Monday, but I can sense it. So, here we go. 2. So, that is 2 minutes. So I'm going to set the timer back down to 60 beats per minute so I can count the reps and so forth. And I'm going to put these gloves on to make the hanging portion a little bit more comfortable, because this rubber kind of digs into the hands. Okay, and here we go. And here we go. 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's it. I'm slipping off. So 16 times 4, that's the time. So I want to be able to get up to reach up to 30. And I might have to change this bar to be able to do that, because it's rotating. So back to legs. So that's where I'm gonna. All right. Some there. So for today's quad exercise, I've got red bands here attached to the wall, and I'm going to attach it to the ceiling here band. So you can probably figure out where I'm going with this. And the reason being is because I'm gonna just grab the towel before I forget. So I'm trying this variation for the first time since I started using the ceiling here. And so what I'm going to do, okay, is attach this band here to my foot, and then you see the anchor point. So it goes on pretty easy. And now, there we go. Lean up and pull with the quads. Use the wall as a support, so that way you need to be farther. Just realized this vibration plate needs to be just a little bit farther away from the wall. Hey. Okay. the legs to feel fully stretched. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So I can feel the green bands pulling from the ceiling, and having the vibration here, I can feel the posterior chain getting involved as well. So here, pull one leg, in fact, I'm just going to take this green band off because it's pulling my feet up, which I wanted to try. So now I know that I want to be able to focus more here on the when the quad is in the stretched position. So it's as if I'm all the way down and the bands are pulling, and I'm working the quadricep at the beginning of its motion. So here I have full, I can feel the tension now. I can change the position of just the vibration plate ever so slightly. There we go. So it's kind of like doing the hamstring curl but reverse, essentially. That's what I'm doing. So I think what I will do is the TKE squats next. Or switch to the oh wow, this is very good. See here at this motion I don't feel the bands or the tension because the angle, but I can feel it here on the quads. It's very good. Very, very good. And you can this is a very good variation. I like it. I really do. Okay, so that is the quad extensions. Next I said is TKE squats. That's what I'm going to do. So that's where I'm going to take the I'm going to speed this up. I'm going to just take this off like this instead of I changed my mind. I'm going to take the my shoes off. Come on. You can also undo the Velcro, but I want to save the Velcro as long as I can, so this is why I'm taking my shoe off. I don't have to replace these straps. I don't want to. I'd rather replace the bands first before I replace the straps. So by doing this now, and then these guys will stay on for the hamstring hamstring curls as well that I have planned. So, there is the do the TKE squats. What I'll do, since I already did a strong curl, I'm just going to use the green bands today, just because they're already set up. And I'm just going to use the door anchors as opposed to the plywood that I have used in the past. So slightly different today. So, step on that. Step on that side as well. Alright, so it's good. Here we go, power at 3 minutes. Just put this under my foot like that. So here I'm going to focus on the TKE part. Since I already did the quad extensions, I can feel the tension that I already created at the very bottom of the rep. So this is focusing on the more on the tail end. So here I'm going to try to stick in this range as long as I can. Wow. So here I'm using, this is 10 pounds worth of resistance. So total 20 with the bar. Well, the bar is probably 5, so there's 25 pounds worth of resistance. And then the red bands in front of me, 16 pounds per leg. So I'm fighting the discomfort. Oh. I need to focus more on the legs. So hence why I'm doing this with lighter weights today. After watching the replay from last week, I found that I was cheating too much. When the legs hurt, they send a strong signal to the brain. And I gotta find ways to overcome that. And I just need to be more focused. Quads are a big muscle, and they send a lot of signal when they're in pain. All right. So in order to grow them, you have to endure a lot of pain. So next up is the hamstring curl. Okay, so that's where I'm gonna turn around actually. I just realized. So I probably don't need to do this, but I'm making it more complicated than I need it to be. Okay, come on. There we go. All right. I don't know where I did the remote, but oh, I just realized what I need to do. The anchor point on the wall should be lower as opposed to higher. That way you get more tension at the lower end of the rep, because the next exercise is going to focus on where the glute ball bridges do the beginning edge of the beginning range of motion at the beginning of the range of motion. Okay. Yeah, that's where I want. Now, I'm going to use this towel. There we go. Yeah, this is what I want. So by having the tension here, I can feel it. With it being low, it would be better if it was actually lower, but that's okay. Because the next exercise, the ball bridges, is going to get the more that portion of the posterior chain, and get the glutes and the hamstrings as well. So I will add an additional weight as part of the next exercise. So here I want to focus pointing the toes up. I'm doing like a bicep curl. So by pointing the toes and only the heels, it kind of makes like a pronation / supination type feel. But in the hamstrings, I can feel the difference that it creates. You can go a little wider if you wish. But alright. So by holding it here, now contracting, holding it isometrically, ladder it up isometric, keep holding, squeeze that blood out. Wow. Now I can feel the blood returning. Now squeeze. that's hamstring curls. Next up is ball bridges. With the tibia, I'm going to need to take my... I don't have to take them off, I'll just use these guys. Take that off after. Alright, next up, I said ball bridges. So that's where I'm going to take an extra weight. Yeah, I'll use the... Or here, I'll use this one. What weight is this? Orange is 25. So I'm taking 25 extra pounds of weight. So you can see it's the black, yellow, or black, white, and orange. So, and I'm going to take this, turn it this way. Yeah. Take the ball, set him right there. Take this. Yeah, I want the ball right there. So I can kind of tell how far my butt is almost touching the vibration plate. So that's kind of how you can tell. And here we go. Holding the weight here, now curling it. So at this point I don't feel a lot of vibration. I feel it here, but because where the ball is situated. So I want the glutes to be firing here, so I'm lowering. I could probably raise this vibration plate a little bit more to get a little bit of a deeper stretch on the glutes. But this is good. So having this weight here forces the entire posterior chain to, I can feel it all the way in the calf muscles as well, but I do feel it in the hamstrings and in the glute. Wow. This I would think is probably down here. My butt is just barely touching the ground. Oh yeah. Huh. Wow. It really stings. Wow. Wow. It's very uncomfortable. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's good. certainly feel those hamstrings. Okay, next up is the tibia. That's where I'm going to take the second set of ankle straps that I have, and I'm going to attach it to these red bands here. Last week I used the blue, but that's okay. I'm going to use a little bit less weight. Try to stick, see how long I can hold isometric position in the tibia. So I'm going to take this here away. And attach the, so, oh yeah, my butt, changing settings here. Ankle straps right over the, kind of anchored on my toes. So that's the problem with this, is it can fall off. So you kind of have to, when you have the tension, yeah. Okay. Why is it moving? All right. So, play. So, take those ankle straps, stop them from clicking on the floor. So here I'm focusing primarily on the tibia with the 16 pounds worth of resistance. So you can rotate them out a little bit like this, inward. So doing this exercise helps with stability, and it correlates into strong athletic movements. So there's a video that I stumbled across where talked about applying explosive with weight, using resistance bands, and to when you have opposing force weights. So this kind of mimics that. I have a weight that's is both direction, and then you add the vibration as a trigger for that opposing force. So here I'm holding it isometrically in the, so I have a really strong tension. So if you have cable weights, you could do it with cable weights too. I would incorporate the vibration plate. But then if you want to do lifts with the cable weights, I don't recommend that, especially at squats. You got to switch to bands. Use the heavy bands and strengthen those quads. But you'll find, much as like I have, is that the quads, they can scream a lot. This guy is coming off, sliding again. So here's an explosive movement. Oh, and of course it came off. This is good enough for today. I can certainly feel the tibia. It's nice and strong. It's pumped. I can feel how pumped it is. All right. Last but not least is calf raises. And for today's exercise, I will be using the I'm going to switch to using a heavier band. Yeah, I need to take that off anyways. Because the calves, I've got strong calves, and they can take the abuse that I'm going to give it. So I'm going to do, what did I do last? I'll take the block bands today. So, and attach this here. So my door stops can act like a so because I'll be standing, they will be have a good stretch on the. So as you can see here, you can use either small anywhere anchors or the door stops with this kind of configuration that I have here. And last but not least, I'm a little bit over 45 today, which is fine. So yeah, there we go. So I don't have any tension down, but as soon as I come up, there we go. That feels very good. So now I'm going to lift off. So for all those people who want to maximize your calf muscles with the vibration, with resistance, this is very hard to beat. Wider stance slightly. It's pretty unstable, like to. There's one thing about this. So the black bands are 19 pounds, so this is a total of 76. 76 pounds worth of resistance on the calf muscles plus my body weight. So if you got stubborn calves that don't want to grow, this is your ticket. And then you can have them here at a stretch, so my heels are just barely touching the plywood behind me. And now I'm on my tippy toes, slowly isometrically moving down. They're starting to cramp now a little bit, those calf muscles. So if you have low magnesium, you're going to feel this. They're going to cramp really fast. But here I want those calves to cramp. I want that muscle to feel it. here I am now, stretching. Feels good. There we go. And that's it for legs today. So, let's have a look at debriefing. Today's date, February 18th, 2026, 2:36 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Okay. I hit a maximum of 186 today. So I was in this zone for 9 seconds. And can have a look here. So 185 to 206 for 9 seconds. And see my heart rate at the beginning when I was kind of setting things up. And got down to 75 afterwards, and yo-yoed all the way through for the duration of the workout. So hope you enjoyed today's session and the information that I shared on deuterium free water, or deuterium depleted. I like to call it deuterium free. And this X49 now I think has kind of worn off. I don't feel it today, at least the sensation. And so there is a lifespan on these things when they say, wearing one per day. So if you're, let's say if you're playing professional sports, or you want to show your potential, your full potential, you can use the X49, and I know Olympic athletes have used it, and because it's not necessarily a drug, it's basically light. So using the light frequency to strengthen your body's ability to perform. Now, could you wear it before you compete? Yeah, why not? Because I could feel the effects for several hours after I first wore it for the first time. It lasted several hours after I finished, because I actually left this, I took it off and I left it right here beside me on my stool, on my my little table here, and then I wore it the next day. So yeah, the smell is subtle, but it's not very strong. Like when I compare it, if I use a scale of 0 to 10. 10 was on the first day. I could sense it. Yesterday was more like a 5, about halfway done. And today is kind of like a 2. So there is a life span to these things, because as David says, the owner of the company, they are made with organic materials, so that reflects the light. And so if you haven't done so already, please consider the QR code there. Support me to experience the benefits. I want to hear your story and what you think about it. And because I think there's some benefits that you can experience. I know I improve mental clarity, rapid pain relief, and reduced inflammation. I have good skin too from the use of the X39, and I have experienced enhanced sports performance. Just look at the log that I've been sharing and all the videos that I've recorded, those actual attempts. So it's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to actually do it. And when you experience increased energy and vitality, then you can say the same. But most importantly, experience faster recovery from exercise. That for me is the biggest reward that I like the most. So That's it for leg day today. Tune in tomorrow for Thirsty Thursday. It's going to be shoulders, rotator, and trap. And we'll see you then. Have a good night.